Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Quad Radio as we welcome a brand new quad specialist to the ATV racing world, and that is one of the GNCC two-wheel guys, Mr. Chris Bach from the American Beta Company. And hello, Chris Bach, and welcome. I got to say, this is a pretty historical thing in this young life of Quad Radio to have a two-wheel guy on the show like this. But, man, we welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a whole new deal, and I'm excited to be a part of it once it's kind of getting rolling here.
Yeah. What's really neat is that I understand that, you haven't really been around ATVs a whole lot, but today, man, you got schooled by the best of them, and you are what we deem now as a quad expert.
Yeah, I think I would qualify as an expert. I spent the day with Johnny and Borich, and what I didn't know before, I think I know, but I got quite confused along the way. I think I'll be able to hash it out.
That's pretty cool. Now, let me ask you this question as Johnny Gallagher joining us on the phone call here this evening as well. Welcome, Johnny. Did you guys talk him into throwing his leg over an ATV by any chance?
No, actually, we've had quite a few of the XC1 and XC2 guys from the two-wheel side of things through the house over the winter, and a number of them we have got to mount up and do a little bit of riding. I probably shouldn't mention any names due to possible conflicts of brands and sponsors and all that kind of stuff. But we unfortunately today we didn't have that opportunity. We were just kind of flat out trying to get some motos in, and Chris was there obviously trying to get all his stuff dialed in for Florida with the beta and all as well, and pounding his motos. So no, we didn't get him on a quad, but I could see that in the near future.
That's pretty sweet. Now, Chris, you come from up in Indiana, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And from what I understand, what I know about it, that's a pretty heavy populated ATV area, man.
Yeah, back in the day, the ATV side of things wasn't really that big, and it was all pretty much dirt bike stuff from the off-road side of things. And then maybe just over like the last 5 years, we've had 2 or 3 of these new outlaw, non-AMA sanctioned off-road series kind of pop up, and the guys that have been putting them on have been big ATV advocates versus the district stuff where they were kind of big dirt bike guys. So the ATV scene has actually blown up, and those kind of outlaw deals seem to be taking over the Indiana races where people aren't really going to the district stuff anymore. They're kind of sticking to the outlaw ones with better courses, better promoters, better payback for the pro riders. And I actually think that some of the races have quite a few more four-wheeler guys than they do bike guys.
So, and I think we see that with Ironman as well. And obviously that's a huge event for both ATVs and dirt bikes, but for ATVs especially. I mean, Saturday is just absolutely huge at Ironman, and obviously when we go up to New York for Unadilla, it's clearly a weighted bike event. There's far more two-wheel guys there than there are four, and I think it might be a little bit just the opposite. So it's obviously a big ATV area.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising, Chris, that you don't ride ATVs. Have you ever ridden an ATV, man, as far as out in the woods like that?
Man, when I was like 6, I think a buddy of mine had, something similar to what Borich has in his garage. It's like a 50cc version of a four-wheeler. And I rode one of those one time down like a fence road thing and turned around and rode it back. And I sucked on it then, so I would only assume that I would still suck today.
Now, let me ask you this. What did you think about hanging out there at the Borich Compound? I mean, from a training standpoint, those guys are pretty insane, right?
Yeah, no, those guys are they're hard workers and they're grinders for sure. They got a routine that they're in. And, obviously championships aren't given to you, so whatever they're doing down there is working. And I'm obviously not going to give away any of their secrets, but they're working hard. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to come out and be ready here in another week.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's clarify when we say championships aren't given away. That's in reference to Chris. My last GNCC championship was on an LT80 in 1990.
Well, you got a championship, man.
Yeah, I'm one time. You know, you call everybody by the number of championships they have. You know, Bill's 8-time, Chris is 3-time. Bill's 9-time. Tracy's 8-time. Chris is 3-time, and I'm 1-time. Even if it's a youth championship, I'm counting it, man. It counts.
Do you have any acclimates like that, Chris, by any chance?
I have. I'm a 0-time ATV champion. That's for sure. But hopefully, by the end of this year, I will be like the #1 fan champion of ATVs. Cheering for these guys.
There you go. It sounds like you gained a whole lot of respect for these guys, man. And being there at the races, I know you guys have to always be there on a Saturday anyway. How much attention do you guys over on the Pro Row pay to the 1 o'clock race there on Saturdays?
So, you know, usually we're pretty busy on Saturdays just trying to get things set up and all that. And obviously we can hear the announcing over the loudspeakers of who's where and all that. But, you know, in terms of actually physically being able to go out there and watch the race, we usually try to watch the start. And when those guys come through the Pro Row, we always try to check it out. But most of the time we're pretty busy, so we kind of just get the updates that come in from out on the track. And, you know, we know who everybody is. And we kind of follow along, you know, through quick fill and all that stuff. But pretty much once you get outside, like the top 7 or so, we kind of lose track of who's who and who does what and all that stuff.
Yeah, and in the past, you guys haven't been allowed on the track on Saturdays. So with some recent rule changes, from what I understand, you guys might actually have a chance to get out there and watch those guys in the woods some.
Absolutely, it's a big change for us that. From what I gather, you know, everyone's pretty excited about it. It's great not only, you know, as a pre-look to Sunday's race, as like, okay, you know, maybe remember some lines or whatever, but it's also like a big safety thing. You know, if there's something that could be kind of dangerous out on the track, whether it be a hill climb or, you know, a creek jump or something like that, it's always good to be able to go out and look. And, you know, maybe while we're out there, we'll get to stop and watch these guys come whizzing by us.
Well, tell me how much respect you gained for these guys. Tell me a little bit about the day that you spent at the Borich Compound with Johnny G, Chris Borich, and the gang down there.
Well, you know, actually, I was down in southern Florida, and I drove up to meet these guys out at the motocross track here at PAX. And, I mean, obviously these guys are hard workers, just like anybody that's doing this for a living is. But, you know, I go out there, and I do my 30-minute motos or whatever, and it's kind of like, no big deal. It's just what you do. And then, so I sat down and watched these guys go out and rip a moto, and you know, they're doing the same things I'm doing, basically all around the course. They even like scrub jumps and hit the big booters and all that stuff, but they're doing it with 400+ pound machines, and they're using way more energy than I am. So I applaud those guys, and obviously they wouldn't be where they are without busting some serious tail. And I was impressed. Needless to say, I was very impressed. After watching those guys do what they do, I don't want to get on a 4-wheeler and try to replicate it. That's for sure.
Pretty impressive stuff. I know, Johnny. I know it seems like the ATV community always gets a lot of ribbing and stuff from the two-wheel guys, but man, it seems like you guys are turning some heads down there with the Baylor boys and a few other guys, like you said, making their swing through the compound down there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think it's so much, you know, it's all good-natured ribbing. I mean, certainly, you know, a lot of times they'll make comments about being out there racing couches, and you know, we call them skirt bikers. You know, everybody's got their little names and jokes and all, but I think the reality of it is, like Chris was saying, there's a lot of mutual respect, and I think, you know, the more time you actually spend with your counterpart on the two-wheeled side or four-wheeled side across the table, you see, like, you know, he put it very well, basically saying, you know, we're all doing the same things. Everybody's out here working hard. Everybody's trying to better themselves, better the sport, promote their sponsors, work hard to keep themselves in shape, and do all the same things. So, you know, when you know how hard you're working, and by all means the same respect given back to the two-wheeled side that those guys give us. I mean, when, you know, I know, speaking for Chris Borich, who actually was going to try and join us here, he's on another call, but hasn't been able to yet. But a lot of the guys don't get an opportunity because they go home and race on Sundays. They don't stick around and watch too many of the bike races. And I know, obviously, with the flip-flop at Loretta's, I heard a number of ATV guys that got to watch their first bike race or first bike race in years, and, to see how hard those guys push for 3 hours, and, to see those guys out there doing the same things that we're doing. I mean, obviously, logistically, they race, and that, they work hard, but to actually see it with your own eyes and see them pushing each other and leaning on each other and their race tactics and, them coming in and doing their pit stops just like we do, it just reminds you that, there definitely is more athletes out there than just on the ATV side. And I think, that Chris made a tweet earlier today, something along the lines of going to go hang out with some four-wheel guys. We can all just get along. And, if nothing else comes out of any of this that's happened this winter going forward, then that's pretty cool. Those guys are amazing athletes, great talents, hard workers, and, we've got the same on our side, and it's cool that everybody can kind of have that mutual respect and admiration for each other.
And the personalities that come out in all of you guys when you guys get together, I mean, that's always intriguing as well. I mean, I'm sure you probably got to know a different side of Chris that you didn't even know existed today.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got to hang out with Chris a little bit at the races. Nate Canny, I hang out with him a bit and chat with him, and he's good buddies with Bach, so I got to know him just a little bit through that. And then, honestly, social media, I think, was a big connection for Chris and I, and we just kind of started tweeting. I know McGill's been in on some of the Twitter and Strang, and Strang said a lot of the same things. It's like, just seeing your counterpart on the, whether it's the guy with the same number or rides for the same team as you, seeing that and sitting down at a couple of autograph sessions with those guys, and them seeing that we're legitimate athletes just like they are, not the whole couch thing. And, obviously we're just ribbing them with the skirt biker thing, but, it's definitely, personality, I think, with Bach is a big thing. I mean, he seems like a pretty quiet guy until, you get around him for a little bit, and he kind of takes lay of the land and figures out that everybody's got a good sense of humor, and then he definitely starts letting his true self come out. He's a character for sure. He had us all laughing to and from dinner. We actually had a bachelorette party at the Japanese steakhouse with us, and there was some jokes cracking and a lot of stuff flying around. He's a really funny guy for sure.
Well, that's one place I would have loved to have been, that's for sure. But, hey, Chris, real quick for your fans out there in the quad radio world that follow the bike side of things, what's going on in your program right now, man? It sounds like things are going pretty smooth for you so far.
Yeah, we kind of got a little bit of a late jump, with coming off of knee surgery and all of that. Just kind of trying to get back into things. Obviously, I've had time to be in the gym and be on the bicycle, and physically, I feel like I'm in great shape, best shape I've ever been in. I've had ample time over the off season to get in physical shape, but as anybody will tell you that races often, there's nothing like being in motorcycle or four-wheeler shape. So it's just a whole other thing. You can go to the gym and you can put up the biggest weight, or you can go run and do your best time, or you can go cycle and do your best time. But if you haven't ridden in 2 or 3 months or whatever, it's, you kind of just feel a little bit off. So basically just trying to get back in the swing of things. On the racing standpoint, obviously I can go out and practice and rip off some good lap times and stuff. But we don't ride for 20 or 30 minutes. We ride for 3 hours. So just trying to race myself back into shape, racing every weekend. And I think come Florida, I'll be ready. And so far, so good. The bike's coming along well. I think we're well ahead of last year with some development things that we've made some changes to, and really looking forward to just kind of getting that first race under our belt. And hopefully we get another podium and make it 3 podiums for 3 years in the XC1 class and get on to Georgia healthy and get the season started the right way.
All righty, man. Sounds good. And in a nutshell, man, what do you think you're going to take away from today?
We got a late joiner here. Oh. Chris actually just walked in. I think he wanted to throw his 2 cents in on Bach and the whole 2 wheels versus 4 thing. So I'm just going to hand my version or my position here over to him, and you guys can put him on the spot. I know we're running out of time, but he's a man of few words, so here he is.
Hey, we can make 2-parters. We proved that with our season preview there for sure. But and with that, let's take a break right now and continue with Chris Borich along with Johnny G, Chris Bach I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio.